The way we speak has nothing to do with our ability to handle a tractor trailer.
Kelvin is a truck driver who works in both Mexico and the U.S. Like other truckers, Kelvin will soon have to show he can understand traffic signs, communicate with law enforcement, and navigate agricultural checkpoints.
The aggressive way they're doing it, from one day to the next, the fines they're talking about in social media, it's something too strict and worrisome.
Kelvin and others would like President Trump to change his mind.
I'm asking him to be considerate.
Welcome back to Rodecast, guys. Hope y'all doing well out there. I'm your host, Rod, as always. And in this video, I want to share some excellent news coming out regarding Trump's executive order that was signed about 2 months ago or so regarding all truck drivers having to pass a literacy test, proving that they can speak and read English at a basic level enough to drive inside the United States so they can understand street signs and communicate with the public and law enforcement in case of an accident. Basically, the most commonsensical thing that's ever been proposed. The reason that he had to sign this was because even though there's a law on the books since the 1930s, I believe, that requires people to speak English, truckers, it has not been enforced, as with many other things on the books. And Obama specifically signed an executive order lowering standards for your English-speaking proficiency when it comes to trucking when he was in office. And Trump's executive order was a response to reverse that bad executive order that was put out by Obama, basically allowing illegals to drive in America. That's what Obama was trying to do, give more jobs to illegals and take jobs away from Americans. So 2 pieces of good news here. First, 40 truckers at least have lost U.S. commercial licenses due to the lack of proficiency. So these are people who cannot at all communicate in English, okay? Not at all. So those people had their licenses pulled, and which is a good start, and we have lots more to go. Secondly, even more good news, we have official tickets that were given out by state police for people who did not speak English. Illegal aliens and migrants who are driving trucks are literally being issued tickets. They're being cited for not speaking English, which is absolutely beautiful. You guys know that I think it's one of the first things that should be a disqualifier for living in America if you don't speak English. In my opinion, anybody who doesn't speak English should be deported ASAP immediately. Okay, so I could not be happier. It's one of the stories that made me the happiest to see that people were literally getting ticketed for not speaking English, not being able to speak English. This should happen not just for truckers, but for literally everybody who lives in this country. You can't speak English, you're going to get tickets until you run away from America. Okay, because that's what you should be doing if you don't speak English. Basically, the reason it's a big deal is because they're disrespecting the heritage of this country, which is George Washington's heritage and the founding fathers who came from England. They spoke English. What we speak now is the language of this country. And you're disrespecting our heritage, and you're disrespecting the citizens of this country, like myself, who are born here, who are actual Americans, when you don't learn English. It is the most basic level of respect to speak the language of the country that you want to live in. And people who don't want to do that deserve to be punished. That's why I love this story.
Typical ticket on the road: speeding, no seatbelt, or even blowing through a stop sign. Not the case for 2 truck drivers in DeKalb County. They were just ticketed for not speaking English, making them some of the first in the state ticketed under President Trump's executive order reinstating an English-speaking mandate. WAFF 48's Nick Ballinger spoke to truckers here in the Valley, getting their thoughts on this order being enforced since June 25th. Nick?
Well, Margot, this mandate requiring all truck drivers to speak English has actually been on the books since the 1930s. Now, the president and CEO of the Alabama Trucking Association tells me that guidelines from the Obama administration loosened enforcement and lowered penalties. Now, this executive order brings back that original mandate, and we're already seeing Alabama state troopers enforcing it.
So, as I told you guys, And as I always say, one of the reasons I left the Democratic Party, stopped voting Democrat, even though I used to be a progressive, is because they want to literally deprioritize American citizens and give more opportunities to their beloved foreigners who they have helped to break into our country. That is one of the many reasons that many people, many Democrats have left the Democratic Party, because we can clearly see what they're doing. So as soon as Obama got into office, he tried his very best to try to screw over American workers and to side with the illegals that the Democratic Party has been bringing in for a couple decades now. Okay, well, more than a couple decades. We can have an argument about who brought in more, because the Republicans have also been trying to bring in cheap labor. So that's a debate that you can have. But I think definitely the Democrats have won on that when it comes to bringing in illegals. Some Republicans at least try to fight back against illegal immigration, but nevertheless, it's a mixed bag. Okay, both parties have their own reasons for wanting illegals in this country. But anyways, the point is that whenever a Democrat gets into power, he starts to deprioritize American citizens and give opportunities to illegals. Now, I'm not some huge Obama hater. I think he was a mixed bag as well. But when it comes to this immigration issue, all the Democrats are horrible, whether it's Obama or not. And by the way, Obama was not the deporter in chief. That is a lie. Trump has deported way more people. The reason Obama's numbers are higher is because he literally counted turnaways at the border as deportations. That's the only reason he was known as the deporter in chief. He didn't actually deport people from the inland of the country. Okay, he did not actually deport people from the homeland. When you turn people away at the border, that is not a deportation. A deportation is a legal process that ICE and Homeland Security puts illegals through to get them out of the country.
This is a ticket written by a state trooper in DeKalb County against a truck driver from Texas. This one, the driver was from Florida. What they have in common? The tickets say the drivers couldn't speak English.
The English language proficiency standard has been there for a long time.
These are some of the first tickets issued after the president's executive order reinstated enforcement and penalties in late June. Mark Colson, the president and CEO of the Alabama Trucking Association, says the order reverses an Obama administration memo and now takes the driver off the road.
It's all about safety. It's all about being able to read the rules of the road, being able to communicate with law enforcement and the general public.
Huntsville truck driver Jose Reyes says he wasn't surprised to already see tickets written. This bilingual first-generation American says he's had to translate for drivers who have been in accidents before.
I think it would be a shock to a lot of people. Drivers are out here on the road. They're operating, 80,000 pounds, and it's super dangerous. And they can't communicate, they can't read road signs. That's where the safety part of it comes in, is being able to get those drivers off the road because they can't read or write basic English.
So I don't think this Jose should even be in America, but nevertheless, what he's saying is absolutely correct. I agree with him. He's just speaking common sense. So even Hispanic drivers can agree with this, because it's about safety. You're living in a country where English is the official language. Everything is basically in English, and thankfully so. And yet you can't speak the language. How are you going to communicate with the police or with other drivers that you might crash into? And these illegals crash all the time because they can't drive. Okay.
Critics of the mandate say this could take drivers off the road in an industry that's already facing a shortage. The commercial.
That is an absolute lie. There is no shortage of people, specifically white males in America, who have graduated from high school without a college degree. These men want to work as truck drivers. There's so many of these people graduating who don't want to go to college, who actually want to be truck drivers. So that is an absolute 100% lie by the open borders crowd, who are critics of this executive order, who want everybody to not speak English. Basically, they want to bring in the most, unfit people to live in America who don't even speak our language. The more they are different from us, the better the left thinks they are. Okay, the more they cannot even communicate with the native population, the better it is. That's what kind of lunatics these people are. The critics of this most commonsensical thing ever proposed by Trump. Okay, I've had many issues with things he's done in the past, but this is literally the most simplistic and common sense thing, and one of the best things for the trucking industry that I have seen.
Vehicle Safety Alliance recommends all drivers who are pulled over to be able to speak English on a list of topics about their current job, as well as read all road signs.
And they're having to use Google Translate to be able to, talk to people. And you shouldn't have to do that.
Now, I've reached out to the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency to find out specifics on these tickets and to also learn any guidelines that these state troopers are using when issuing these English tests, and I'll let you know as soon as I hear back.
Here's a guideline. If the cops talk to you, you should be able to have a general conversation in basic English. And if you can't, you get a ticket. There you go. That's it. Okay. Because if you can't talk to the police, you're not going to be talking to other truckers properly. You're not going to be talking to the contacts, the clients that you're trucking for properly because you can't speak English. So that's the test. Okay. If you can't carry on a basic conversation with a US citizen like myself or like the police who are stopping you, then you get a ticket. Okay. And then eventually you're going to get your commercial license pulled, like we talked about in the beginning, where 40 truckers have already lost their commercial license due to the fact that they can't speak the language of the country that they live in. So the attacking moves like this, when Trump does stuff like this and the left attacks them, that's what makes the left and the Democrats look like absolute lunatics. And that just gives a reason for more people to leave the Democratic Party and either become independents or join the Republicans. That's why so many people have left the Democratic Party, because of their anti-American, just straight up anti-American, anti-English, anti-Anglo-Saxon mentality. They want to actively destroy everything that makes America American, including the language which has been passed down to us by our ancestors, that everybody in this country should speak. They disagree. They don't think that people should have to speak English. They're busy trying to find ways to give opportunities to people who don't speak a word of English, and they don't want to make them learn either. According to the Democrats, it's racist to make these disgusting migrants learn the language in the country that they want to live in. Okay, that's the kind of insane standards that the Democrats have. That's why they'll keep losing elections, because of their insane take and their anti-American takes on issues that are very important to people. All the Democrats have to do is go back to being a party of common sense, and they'll be able to take voters away from the Republicans. But they're not going to do that. They're going to keep going more and more foreigner-loving, anti-American, anti-George Washington direction. They're going to keep going in that direction, and they're going to keep losing voters. And that's all I got to say for this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'll see you guys in my next one. Have a great day.